Hi there, my name's Zach, and today we're going to be talking about defensiveness and how we deal with it in the mental load mastery program and some of the tools and features that we use to deal with it so that you don't necessarily have to take the course unless you want your hand held for it. Hi, my name's Zach. I am a recovering man-child. I am an invisible labor educator for men, and I've been going through a journey the past couple years trying to recover myself as a man-child, and I'm here to share with you some of the things that we've done along the way to improve my ability to bear the mental load, see the emotional and invisible labor that goes on in the home, and improve my ability to decrease the inequalities that exist in our home. So defensiveness seems to be a consistent thing that gets brought up with a lot of the clients that I have, the potential clients that I have in those first calls, and even seeing it in myself in my past, my history. Defensiveness typically comes up historically when I've felt attacked. And I think that when I'm on my back foot, when I'm not prepared for conversations, when we're talking about things that I was not ready for, oftentimes I feel attacked. Not that is Alyssa's fault, my wife. That's definitely much more on me that I'm bringing that to the table, that I'm responding with defensiveness. And I want to share with you the main tool that we really use to improve upon that defensive response. So the main thing that we do is I'm helping the guys stay accountable to having preventative conversations. We call them boring meetings, which Alyssa originally came up with because we used to call them like relationship meetings and felt kind of heavy. We wanted to make it a little lighter so that we both wanted to sit down and talk about these things. When we have these conversations, the way that I'm first kind of coaching the guys to go about it is to start with logistics. Come to the table with an agenda of at least 4 bullet point items talking about the logistics of the upcoming week, and have these at least on a weekly basis. So what that might look like if you are with no kids is, hey, 2 weeks we have this trip planned and I want to just talk about some logistics. Do we get the tickets for it? Do we know when we're going to leave by? I want to get an itinerary just to share with my mom so that she can know what's going on. If we have some pets, like, are we going to get them boarded? Are we going to have them watched by a neighbor or a parent or a brother or sister? Thinking about those logistics and the responsibilities of the things that need to happen for that to be a successful trip, where hopefully one person is not bearing the mental load by default. And I think that there's going to be mental load, there's going to be things that need to get thought about. The question is whether they're defaulting to one person or if they're being assessed and chosen to be given to one person to hold on to the responsibility of that. From reading Fair Play and from reading Fed Up and a handful of other things, as well as hundreds of thousands of comments and DMs, what I've seen is that a lot of the women bear the mental load of a lot of these logistical things. There have been countless tropes and videos of guys they don't plan the vacation, but they show up and they drive, and that's how they create their responsibility. We won't go into the dynamics of that in the historical way, but I want to go more into the solution of it. As guys are coming to the table with 4 bullet points, and let's say on the list I'm talking with one of the guys about what he's bringing for his next meeting, and he says, oh yeah, we should talk about the logistics for our trip in 2 weeks, and we should talk about the birthday party for our toddler that's coming up this weekend. She's going to a friend's house. When they bring up those 2 things, there's a couple ways they could go about it. They could say, what's the plan? What's the deal? And ask like an open-ended question. Or they could be saying, hey, here are the things that I'm seeing coming up. We need to get tickets. We need to buy a birthday gift. We need to leave by this time. I'm not sure if this is a good gift, but I like this idea. They can either ask open-ended questions, or they can say, I think we should leave by 12. Here's why. I think we should get this gift. Here's why. I think that we should leave the pets at home rather than bring them with us. Here's why. When you're doing that, you're taking the mental load of that situation, at least the majority of it. Oftentimes we want to be collaborative with our partners. I totally recommend that, being collaborative. And there's a difference between saying, hey, what time should we leave, versus, hey, I think we should leave at 12. Here's why. When we asked that open-ended question, I was a math teacher for years, and for 8 years. And one of the things I would do for my honor students versus my regular ed students is, regular ed students were much more likely I'm going to give them multiple choice questions. For the honors kids, I'm going to put more mental load on them. I'm going to give them more taxing problems and questions. They're going to be open-ended. So there's no correct answer given to them. They could guess it, but it would be increasingly hard to guess correctly, versus the other students can guess correctly by accident. I recommend they show their work and they can guess correctly. When you offer those open-ended questions, the person responding to them has to start from scratch. They have to dig into their brain. They have to pull the tab open up, the internet browser tab up in their brain, and say, okay, here's an appropriate answer, I think. However, if the other person, typically the man, myself, are coming to the table saying, here's what I think we should do, what do you think about that? They're not only creating a multiple choice question or a pre-created choice question, but they're giving like a default answer. Like imagine if when you took tests or SATs or state high school graduation tests, and the direction said, hey, it's a multiple choice, A, B, and C, and D. However, if you leave it blank, it just automatically guesses C. Like, how does that change how you think about answering those questions? At worst, if you're really, really stuck and you're like, I have no idea which of these 4 answers, I'm just going to leave it blank, at least there's an answer being responded to. So there's almost like this safety net of, okay, something's being done here. It's not just being let go. There's some thought being done here. That is a great way to take mental load off. And coming back to defensiveness, a huge part of the value of bringing these things to the table in those conversations is that when the guy is thinking ahead about the thing and they're bringing answers to the table rather than questions to the table, it's much more likely that they're going to get responses that are talking about the issue rather than, well, why didn't you bring this up? Well, you haven't thought about this and this. And I think when we're almost on the offensive, but the offensive not towards our partner, but towards the problems and the challenges and the planning in our lives, we're much less likely to be on the defensive because we've already thought some of those things through. When my wife asked me, hey, did you do that thing you said you were going to do, whatever it is, if I haven't done it yet, but it's been on my brain and I plan to do it at some point, probably going to be defensive. If I have recently communicated to her saying, hey, I'm going to take out the trash by 4 o'clock today, I'm on the offensive. I've told her what the likely response is, what she can expect. When she comes back to it, she'll be like, oh, it's not 4 o'clock yet. I don't even have to ask him because he's going to do it by 4 o'clock. So if we can be coming to those meetings, coming to those conversations with things to share, you're going to have a better time. You're going to have better conversations. And coming further back to defensiveness, when you're approaching those questions and problems together, you're going to be able to be in more vulnerable states as you're talking about those things. As you talk more and more about planning and expectations of things, then you can start getting more into emotions. Hey, I really want to do it this way. When we went to the birthday party, I really want to make sure that the kid sees that the gift is from both of us. I don't know, I'm making something up here because I feel this way about it. And I put some effort into that, and I felt a little left out when you took credit for that. It's a great moment of like one person feels a little insecure. They want to bring up something. It's a little hard. There's a little bit of ego there. But because it's being brought up in a safer space, it starts out logistically where it's a comfort zone. They're going to be able to branch out and talk about more uncomfortable things to the point where they're going to be able to talk about maybe emotions that they've never talked about. They're going to be able to bring up some of the other challenges that they keep dealing with that have not been spoken and are quietly building resentment underground. This is the main way that we go about it. I'm holding guys accountable to having these meetings, having these conversations, coming prepared with things to them, and then debriefing them on the following week session. If this is something that you think you would really appreciate getting help on and improving your relationship, book a relationship goals consult. The link is either in the channel bio or link below this video. Hope this was valuable. Thank you for listening.